You broke the Shield. Roman Reigns' empire crumbles after Dean Ambrose exposes his betrayal of the Shield. This is absolutely devastating, and if you're not furious at Roman Reigns right now, then you clearly missed Dean Ambrose delivering the most emotionally crushing promo in WWE history, where he exposed Roman as the real traitor who destroyed the Shield, proving that everything we thought we knew about the Shield's breakup was a lie and that Roman has been manipulating everyone for years. If you think this is just typical wrestling drama, you're dead wrong, because what Dean revealed last night has shattered Roman's carefully constructed image and proven that the so-called tribal chief is nothing but a fraud who sacrificed his brothers for personal ambition and has the audacity to act like he's the victim. Comment right now if you think Roman Reigns is the most selfish and most manipulative person in WWE history, because Dean's expose has everyone questioning Roman's entire legacy and wondering how many other lies the head of the table has told to maintain his power. This isn't about Seth's 2014 betrayal anymore. This is about Roman orchestrating the Shield's destruction from the beginning and blaming everyone else while he climbed to the top on the backs of his so-called brothers. The tribal chief's empire is collapsing under the weight of his own deception. Let me break down exactly what Dean Ambrose said, because every single word of his promo was loaded with years of suppressed pain, anger, and truth that Roman never wanted exposed. Dean returned to WWE after years away, and everyone expected him to talk about his time as Jon Moxley in AEW or his personal journey. Instead, he did something nobody saw coming. He brought receipts about what really happened behind the scenes of the Shield. Dean stood in that ring with a microphone, and the raw emotion in his voice was impossible to fake. This wasn't a character cutting a worked promo. This was Jonathan Good speaking truth about Colby Lopez and Joe Noai, using their real names because this was real. For years, everyone has believed a story, a narrative, a lie. The story is that Seth Rollins betrayed the Shield. That Seth destroyed the Brotherhood. That Seth was the selfish one who put his ambitions above the group. And you know what? I let that story exist. We all let that story exist. Because it was easier than admitting the truth. The crowd was silent, hanging on every word. Dean continued, but I can't live with that lie anymore. I can't watch Roman Reigns stand in that ring, calling himself the tribal chief, demanding acknowledgement, acting like he's some noble leader who was wronged by his brothers, when the truth is that Roman Reigns is the one who destroyed the Shield. Roman is the one who betrayed us. And it's time everyone knows it. Here's a trivia question for Shield fans. What year did the Shield officially disband after Seth's betrayal? Drop your answer below. The accusations Dean made were specific and devastating. He wasn't making vague claims, he was providing details that could be verified, that made too much sense to be lies. You want to know why Seth attacked us that night? Because Roman had been going to management behind our backs for months, pitching himself as the next John Cena, the next face of WWE. Roman was making deals, setting up his solo push, planning his exit strategy from the Shield while telling me and Seth that we were brothers forever. Dean pulled out his phone, not a prop, but his actual phone, and showed it to the hard camera. I have text messages. I have emails. I have proof of conversations between Roman and WWE executives where Roman specifically said that the Shield had run its course and that he needed to distance himself from the other two to become the top star. This was months before Seth's turn. Roman was planning the Shield's destruction, but he needed someone else to be the villain so he could emerge as the sympathetic babyface. The implications of what Dean was saying were staggering. If true and Dean's willingness to show evidence suggested it was, then the entire narrative of the Shield's breakup was false. Seth didn't betray Roman and Dean for selfish reasons. Seth was responding to Roman's behind-the-scenes manipulation, essentially forcing the issue before Roman could execute his own plan on his terms. Drop a comment. Do you believe Dean Ambrose's accusations against Roman Reigns, or do you think this is just Dean rewriting history? Let me know your take. Dean's voice was shaking with emotion as he continued. Seth gets vilified for years. Seth is called the traitor, the sellout, the architect of the Shield's destruction. But the real architect was Roman Reigns. Roman used us. He used the Shield as a springboard for his own career, and the moment he had enough momentum to go solo, he started laying the groundwork to blame one of us for the breakup so he could maintain his good guy image. And you know what the worst part is? Dean's voice broke slightly, genuine pain evident in his expression. I believed in the Shield. I believed in the Brotherhood. I would have died for Roman and Seth. But Roman didn't feel the same way. To Roman, we were tools. We were stepping stones. We were expendable the moment he got his push from management. And when I finally confronted him about it, when I knew what he was doing, Roman looked me in the eye and told me I was being paranoid. That I was imagining things. That brothers don't turn on brothers. The hypocrisy Dean was exposing was crushing. Roman has spent years building his persona around family, loyalty, and brotherhood. The bloodline is entirely based on the concept of family being everything. But if Dean's accusations are true, Roman abandoned his Shield family the moment it benefited his career, then manipulated the narrative to make himself look like the victim. Dean then addressed Roman directly, staring into the camera. Roman, I know you're watching this. I know you're probably already planning your response, figuring out how to spin this, how to manipulate everyone again. But here's what you need to understand: I don't care about your titles, your championships, your bloodline. I came back for one reason: to expose you for the fraud you are. To make sure that when people talk about the Shield's legacy, they know the truth. You broke the Shield, Roman, not Seth. You. Quick question: if Dean's accusations are true, does this change how you view Roman Reigns' entire WWE career? Sound off below. The aftermath of Dean's promo was immediate and chaotic. Social media exploded with reactions. Hashtag Roman exposed and hashtag Dean speaks truth were trending worldwide within minutes. Wrestling forums were flooded with debates about whether Dean's claims were legitimate. Fans were digging up old interviews, old footage, looking for evidence that either supported or contradicted Dean's version of events. The most damaging part of Dean's expose was that it made too much sense. Wrestling fans have always questioned why WWE immediately pushed Roman as the top babyface after the Shield broke up. We've always wondered why Roman seemed to benefit more from the Shield's breakup than anyone else. Dean's explanation, that Roman had been planning it all along, actually explains the booking decisions that never quite made sense at the time. Roman's response was telling. He didn't immediately come out to refute Dean's claims. He didn't show the righteous anger you'd expect from someone being falsely accused. Instead, Roman's first response through social media was defensive. Dean Ambrose is trying to rewrite history because his own career didn't go the way he wanted. I don't need to dignify his lies with a response. The tribal chief acknowledges only facts, not fantasy. But that response felt weak. If Dean's accusations were completely false, Roman should have been able to easily disprove them. Instead, Roman was dismissing them without actually addressing the specific claims Dean made. That deflection made Roman look guilty, like someone who couldn't refute the allegations, so he was trying to discredit the accuser instead. The Bloodline's reaction was fascinating. Reports suggest that Roman's family members were shocked by Dean's accusations and have been asking Roman for clarification. Solo Sikoa, the Usos, even Paul Heyman if he's still with Roman, they're all reportedly questioning whether Roman has been manipulating them the same way Dean claims Roman manipulated the Shield. Tell me in the comments, do you think the Bloodline will turn on Roman after Dean's revelations, or will they stand by the tribal chief? What's your prediction? The implications for Seth Rollins are profound. Seth has been carrying the Shield traitor label for years. His entire character has been shaped by that betrayal and the guilt and consequences that came from it. But if Dean's telling the truth, Seth was essentially forced into betraying the Shield because Roman was going to destroy it anyway. Seth just took control of the narrative before Roman could. Seth's response to Dean's promo was emotional. I don't know what to say. For years, I've lived with the guilt of breaking up the Shield. I've apologized, I've tried to make amends, I've carried that weight every single day. But if what Dean is saying is true, if Roman was planning this all along, then maybe I wasn't the villain I thought I was. Maybe I was just the only one honest enough to act instead of manipulate. The reunion implications are massive. If Dean's goal is to expose Roman and potentially rebuild some version of the Shield's legacy, could we see Dean and Seth unite against Roman? The idea of the two betrayers joining forces to take down the man who actually destroyed their brotherhood is compelling storytelling that would flip the entire narrative on its head. The historical revisionism Dean is attempting is dangerous for Roman's legacy. Roman's entire career trajectory has been built on certain narratives, that he was the reliable one, the loyal one, the foundation of the Shield. If those narratives are false, if Roman was actually the snake the entire time, then everything he's accomplished is tainted by that original manipulation. The evidence Dean claims to have is crucial. If he actually has text messages and emails proving Roman was planning to leave the Shield, that's tangible proof that could definitively settle this debate. WWE hasn't confirmed whether Dean will actually present this evidence publicly, but the fact that he claims it exists puts enormous pressure on Roman to either disprove it or admit that there's truth to Dean's accusations. What's your honest take? Should Dean Ambrose publicly release all his evidence against Roman, or is the accusation alone enough to damage Roman's reputation? Let me know. The media coverage has been extensive. Wrestling journalists are investigating Dean's claims, trying to find sources who can confirm or deny what happened behind the scenes in 2014. Some veterans who were in WWE at the time are being asked for comment, and their silence is telling. If Dean was lying, you'd expect people to immediately come to Roman's defense. The fan reaction is divided in fascinating ways. Roman's hardcore supporters are dismissing Dean's accusations as bitter jealousy from someone whose career never reached Roman's heights. But a significant portion of fans are saying I knew it. They're treating Dean's promo as confirmation of suspicions they've had for years about Roman's rise to the top. The psychological warfare aspect is brilliant. Even if Dean's accusations aren't 100% true, the mere suggestion that Roman betrayed the Shield plants seeds of doubt in everyone's minds. Every Bloodline segment now will have fans wondering if Roman is manipulating his family the same way he allegedly manipulated the Shield. The paranoia Dean created is toxic for Roman's ability to maintain control. The potential matches coming from this are incredible. Dean versus Roman in a truth on a pole match where the evidence is at stake. A Shield triple threat where Seth and Dean force Roman to finally address his alleged betrayal. A bloodline implosion angle where Roman's family members demand answers and turn on him when they don't get satisfactory responses. The options are endless. The championship implications are interesting. If Roman is the champion or pursuing the championship, does Dean's expose affect his standing? Should someone who allegedly manipulated his way to the top be allowed to hold WWE's top prize? Does WWE have a moral obligation to investigate Dean's claims before letting Roman represent the company? Here's a strategic question: if you were Roman Reigns, how would you respond to Dean's accusations? Ignore them? Aggressively deny them? Admit partial truth? Give me your crisis management strategy. The comparison to real-world scandals is inevitable. This is wrestling's equivalent of a political scandal where the carefully crafted image of a leader is shattered by revelations of past manipulation and betrayal. The way WWE handles this, whether they embrace the controversy or try to sweep it under the rug, will say a lot about their creative direction. The long-term storytelling possibilities are rich. This could be a years-long arc where Roman's past sins slowly catch up to him, where more people come forward with stories of Roman's manipulation, where the tribal chief's empire crumbles not through physical defeat but through the exposure of moral corruption. That's deep, compelling storytelling. The merchandise implications are dark but interesting. "You broke the Shield" could become a catchphrase on shirts. Dean Ambrose truth teller merchandise could sell to fans who believe his version of events. WWE could make money off this controversy if they're willing to lean into it. One final question: do you want Roman Reigns to admit that Dean's accusations are true, or would you prefer him to maintain his innocence and create more mystery? What would make better television? The legacy implications for all three Shield members are staggering. For Roman, this is potentially career-defining in the worst way. Being exposed as a manipulative fraud could overshadow all his accomplishments. For Dean, this is his chance to set the record straight and clear Seth's name. For Seth, this could be liberation from years of guilt and vilification. Now I want to hear from you, the Wrestling Newsletter family. Tell me in the comments, do you believe Dean Ambrose's accusations against Roman? Should Dean release all his evidence publicly? Does this change how you view the Shield's history? Will the bloodline turn on Roman after these revelations? Should Roman admit the truth or keep denying it? Is this the greatest wrestling exposed promo ever? Smash that like button if you believe Dean Ambrose and think Roman Reigns is exposed. Destroy that like button if you think Dean is lying and Roman is innocent. We need maximum engagement on this explosive situation. Subscribe to Wrestling Newsletter because we're covering every development in this Shield controversy and Roman's potential downfall. Share this video with every wrestling fan because Dean Ambrose exposing Roman Reigns as the Shield's true betrayer is the most shocking revelation in WWE history. The truth is out. Roman's empire is crumbling. Dean has the receipts. The Shield's legacy is being rewritten. And the tribal chief's carefully constructed image is being destroyed by the very brother he allegedly betrayed. This is the kind of storytelling that makes wrestling legendary. The accountability is coming, and Roman Reigns can't hide anymore.